Over the last few days, we've been making our way across Canada by train. We started out east where we took the Ocean, a 24-hour sleeper train that brought us from Halifax, Nova Scotia to Montreal, Quebec. We then boarded the Corridor line, a 6-hour train that brought us to Toronto, Ontario. While the food, accommodation, and views have been great, the motion sickness has been real. After spending a few days in Toronto recovering and stocking up, we're ready to board the Canadien. Over the next 97 hours, this iconic route will bring us north along the Canadian Shield, across the prairies, through the Rocky Mountains, and ending up on the west coast in Vancouver, British Columbia. This trip has been a bucket list item for us, but the incredibly expensive price tag put it out of reach. That was until we snapped up a seat sale that almost seemed too good to be true. As it turns out, it probably was. Today, we're bringing you along for the highs and lows. If you end up enjoying today's video, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and come along.
I wanna run away with you. I don't really care where to. Just wanna be alone with you.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Wow, what a view.
Yeah.
That's gorgeous.
Every day with you feels like the weekend. Everything about you
We
is
get to check in?
Yeah. Morning, how's it going? Good, we're catching the Canadien to Vancouver.
Okay, do you want to check any bags?
I've got one to check.
Todd and Tyler, right?
Yeah.
Tyler and Todd.
Just one, right?
Just one bag, yeah. Yeah, we've got everything we need in our other ones.
Checking in for trains is such a breeze in comparison to airplane travel.
Oh my God, although it's like this is our third train and no one has ever asked for our ID to verify the boarding pass, which
is a little weird.
seems a little sus to me, but that's okay. You ready?
Yeah.
everything is easier with you.
You getting excited?
Yeah, I am. Are you?
Really excited. Car 11?
I've been right here.
Awesome, thank you.
Just sit in your room and wait for me
Okay.
there.
It's our pleasure to welcome you on board train number 1, the Canadien, en route to Vancouver.
You know what? This is kind of good because it seems like there's more room in here.
Yeah, I would agree. I have to say I was a little bit nervous that this cabin was going to be the same size as the Ocean. That was a little small.
Yeah, it was tight. This is good. It's definitely designed for like longer trips because you can put your bag up there so you're not
Yeah.
tripping on it.
Todd and Tyler, you guys are going all the way to Vancouver?
Yeah.
Perfect. The shower is just located at the end of the hall in this direction. You've got your own washroom. You'll lose the signal for most of the day
Cool.
today. It's gonna be primitive, so
Yeah.
Nice.
yeah, make friends.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great meeting you.
Please go
Yeah.
and explore now.
Yeah, thanks. What are you the most excited for? If you had to choose, which leg of the trip?
The Rockies.
Yeah. As we left Toronto to make our way north, we wanted to fully explore the train and get our bearings. The length of the train or how many individual cars there are will vary drastically by season. In the summer, the train can be 30 cars long and as low as 8 in the winter. It all depends on how many bookings there are. On our trip, our train was 14 cars long and our room was located in the Brock. As we made our way through the train, we passed through the various cars that have a few different room options, which we'll get into a little later. Starting all the way at the back of the train, these last few cars are only accessible to Sleeper Plus and Prestige passengers. There are comfortable sofas that you can kick back and relax on, taking in the views from both sides as well as behind the train. There's a coffee and tea refill station, and when you head upstairs, you'll find the dome car. The views up here are panoramic and even better than we imagined they would be. Because you're elevated, you have a view of the entire train in front of you, definitely where we're going to be spending the majority of our time. When you head back downstairs, you'll find the Kootenay Park car, which people just refer to as the bar car. You can order beer, wine, mixed beverages, and anything else you can think of. They leave out fresh fruit and baked goods for snacks in between meals. It's pretty awesome. Leaving the bar area, all these doors along the right-hand side are Prestige classrooms. These have been updated. They have an in-unit shower, alcohol beverages are included in your ticket, and you get the first 12 rows of the dome car. Other than that, everything else is exactly the same, from the food to the onboard experience. The next car after this is the dining car. You'll notice that all of the tables are in groups of 4, so if you're traveling as a solo or as a couple, you should know that every single meal you will be seated with someone new. Each meal has 3 different call times. For example, lunch today is served from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. We chose the 1:30 slot. It's time to dig in. All of the options looked so good. We both went with the hearty vegetable soup as a starter and the veggie burger as the main. Both were phenomenal, but as we're making our way through Ontario, it was the views of the frozen lakes that really stole the show. Well, That and the carrot cake topped with chocolate ice cream for dessert, that was way too good. Feeling super full from lunch, we thought we'd head back to the room, stretch out and take in the views from there, but as per usual, I lost my travel buddy.
So I'm lucky we got service.
I know, I really wasn't expecting it. We haven't had service all day. So obviously we're a few weeks ahead on content, making this trip all the way across Canada. Our Sunday video is about to go up. We set it as a premiere, so we're able to watch it with all of you with this epic view and chat with you in the comments. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We ended up back in the dome car to catch the sunset, which is a must-see. We plan to spend every sunrise and sunset here because it's truly the best views on the train. As we were arriving to Capriole, we noticed something really cool to our left. This tiny town of just 3,000 people in Northern Ontario repurposed an old CN gravel yard and converted it into a mega solar project, spanning over 100 football fields that generate enough electricity to meet the demands of 1,500 homes. I think we find this so cool because it's a scaled up version of exactly what we did back on our own land. It's just a really cool experience for us to see this in person. And a few hours later, it was back to the dining car for supper. I went for the creamy pesto chicken with mashed potatoes and grilled veggies. Todd had the vegetable teriyaki stir fry with sesame. For dessert, we did the signature chocolate cake as well as the caramel cheesecake. Both were great, but go for the cheesecake. The graham cracker crust was 10 out of 10. After we ate, we wanted to go to the dome car at night. I'm telling you, do not miss it. The dome car is open 24/7. It was such a perfect end to the first day on the train. When we woke up the next morning, we weren't moving and everything was so still. Just look at this view. If it looks cold outside, well, that's because it is. We are in Hornpain, where the outside temperature right now is minus 35 degrees. We quickly got ready and headed down to the food car to hopefully be able to take in this view over breakfast, and it did not disappoint.
How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks. What can I get for you?
I'm gonna do the vegan hash.
I'm gonna do the same thing.
Same thing?
Yeah. What do you think of the flavor?
It's so good. Wouldn't have thought to do it this way with like the broccoli and carrots.
My parents would love it.
Yeah. Well, they told us to take photos of all the food.
Yeah. All right, welcome inside our cabin. So we are staying in the Brock train in cabin C. So as you can see, it is very small. All we have in here are these two chairs that move, which is really cool. So normally we have them spun around this way, facing out into the beautiful window. We have a little cubby right here that you can just store some knickknacks. We've got a little spot to hang our coats. Like I said, it is a very tight and narrow space. We've got ventilation controls, so we can bring in cold air from outside and then click this button right here, which turns on the fan. We have got a little hook right here to hang your jacket. We're not using it because look how narrow the space is. It's really tight. And then this is the control panel. So we've got a button to call the attendant. We have ceiling lights, mirror lights, and the light for the toilet, which we'll show you in a second. What we really like about this room versus the one that we had on the ocean, that one was really small. We had nowhere to store our bags, so they were just kind of like on the floor, where here we can tuck everything up nice and neat. It does make sense. This is a much longer route. We're going from Toronto all the way to Vancouver and spending 97 hours on here. So of course we need a little bit of extra space. We have a sink. This folds up, so if you're not using the sink, you have more space. This has two different types of water. We have running water to wash your hands, but not only that, we have a drinking water spout, so you can fill up a cup of water, your water bottle, whatever you need. And last but not least, this is the toilet room. So it is quite small, but it has everything that you need. It has toilet paper and a toilet that flushes. In the nighttime, this room does become quite small. So where Todd's standing, this comes down and turns into an upper bunk and a lower bunk. These bunks are a lot bigger than the one on the ocean as well. We actually slept last night together on the same one, and there was enough space.
They're snuggle bunks.
Snuggle bunks until in the middle of the night when I decided to go up to the top bunk. But yeah, that's the room tour. There's not a whole lot of space in here, but enough. I would definitely recommend, if you're gonna take this train, to either book a sleeper plus cabin like we have, or if you wanna be really bougie, go for the Prestige. There are other cabin styles on the train, but they're all shared. So you will be sleeping with people that you do not know, and there will be a little curtain across. If that works for you, fill your boots, but for us, we really like to have our own private space at the end of the day. We do share our meals with people, so having a little spot to come back and rest and be alone is really important. That might be the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Like, that's wild. Crazy. It came out of nowhere. Just all of a sudden, there's a big train whirling by, and it sounds like whales.
You could feel it, you could hear it.
You know what? Love it.
Love
it's
it.
Pretty cool.
Speechless.
Yeah.
Wow.
Last night during the night, there was a freight train that broke down. We were behind it and we were unable to continue on, so we were stopped for quite a few hours. In total now, unfortunately, folks, we're a little over 6 hours behind.
I asked Ty if he could go for a walk so that I could use the bathroom. Long story short, no matter what I did, it just simply would not go down. After trying everything I could think of, I embarrassingly have to ask Ty to give it a try. After both of us trying everything we could think of, we had to tell our attendant, but as it turns out, they were already aware of the toilet situation on board the train and were working on a fix, so in the meantime, the word is just don't use it. We left our room to give them space to deal with the fix, so we headed up to the dome car for a few hours to take in the views. A day later, and believe it or not, we're still in Northern Ontario. It's just so incredibly vast. It's one thing to look at it on a map, but seeing it in person and the thousands of miles of forest and lakes, it's a pretty wild experience. We hung out up there until one of our favorite times of the day rolled around again. What I love is that every meal, the options are completely different. The starter was a cream of mushroom soup. You could honestly taste all the calories with every spoonful. We both went for the falafel as it's one of our favorite dishes ever. Even if you're not a dessert person, just get it. It's included with your ticket, so you might as well. We're getting a brownie with some ice cream on top, and it is way too good. While Ty made us coffee, I headed back to the room to assess the toilet situation, and spoiler alert, it's pretty grim. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We got our answer about the toilet.
Oh yeah? You're joking.
It was just on the chair when I got in here, so that's what I'm assuming.
There isn't anywhere that we can move you that isn't going to be occupied down the line.
Okay.
No one's immune, right? It might
Yeah.
start happening. Now that it happened in this one, it might start happening.
That's wild.
Yeah. I mean, it's just doing what you can.
Yeah, it's not like it's her fault
No,
personally,
She
but
didn't go down there and freeze it.
if this is a known issue when it's cold, then there should be surplus rooms. They shouldn't have it completely sold.
Yeah.
I think, don't you?
Yeah. Maybe they need a bit more subsidies from the federal government.
Maybe. You should take a gravel, just have it always in your system. All right, so I made it to the public washroom. I don't want to sound bitchy or complainy in saying this, but I do want to give you guys the real, non-sugar-coated, authentic version of how we find this experience. The reality is we would not have booked this trip or went on it if we didn't have a working toilet. I know that there are so many different fares that you can choose from, but the Sleeper Plus, which we're in, and the Prestige, you all have a bathroom in your room. And Tyler and Todd luck, our bathroom is not working. It's the frozen one, and we've asked to be moved to another train or even upgraded to the Prestige. Not trying to be difficult again, but if you're going on this type of a trip and you know, having your own private space is important to you, like it is to us, I would want to know that going in, and right now it doesn't seem like they're willing to move us or upgrade us, so we are stuck using the public washrooms until we're above freezing, and we're not going to be above freezing until probably Vancouver, so that's like 4 days from now. It's disappointing, especially with how dirty this bathroom is. I had to completely disinfect it. There was hair on the seat. It smells really gross in here. The food has been amazing. The views are spectacular, but this is a significant issue, and yeah, we're gonna roll with it though. On the way to the bathroom, I noticed that the shower in our car is also frozen. I explored a few other cars until I eventually found a working one. I'm a little worried at what's gonna happen if the rest of these start to freeze up, so I'm taking advantage of this while I can. Yikes. So I have to say, this is one of the more unique places I've had a shower, but not the worst. It's a little bit more dirty than I would have liked, but I didn't bring flip-flops, so I have to wear socks. It's kind of gross. You just have to keep pressing this button to get water, but the temperature is not that bad. It could definitely be worse. Do you feel good?
I feel cheap.
Having spent years living full-time in an RV, it's given us perspective of what roughing it is really like. Melting snow in the winter in order to shower has a way of humbling you. Sure, the situation on the train isn't ideal, but it could definitely be worse. If this is your first time watching one of our videos, welcome to the channel. While travel is something that we love, this is not at all what the last few years have looked like for us. After renovating that RV I mentioned, we traveled around from place to place until we parked it here, a 10-acre plot of land in the middle of the woods. With a plan to build our own home and quite literally no idea what we were doing, we figured it out bit by bit. There was nothing that we weren't willing to try. And yes, we made a lot of mistakes along the way, but we learned something from every single one of them. But after spending a few years, week after week, having to learn how to do things that we've never done before, it was starting to burn us out. That's when our family friend Dumpy offered to lend us a hand, and his knowledge has been invaluable. While he mainly focuses on Finnish carpentry, like us, he was up for anything. So we got to work and tackled all the projects one by one until these 4 shipping containers actually started to look like a home. With the interior almost complete, this next task requires a craftsmanship and skill level people spend entire careers working towards, which gave us the opportunity to have this getaway while Dumpy does what Dumpy does best. I wonder how it's coming along.
Good morning, everyone. So while Tyler and Todd are gallivanting around the countryside in a train, some of us less fortunate have to stay at home and work. So today I'm in my wood shop and working on their cabinets. I just finished cutting out pieces for the corner cabinet. I'm going to get them taped up and sanded up, and we'll put them together. You have to be careful not to over sand. We'll do this edge by hand. So once the cabinets are installed, there are edge panels that go on the ends to cover up the maple so that you only see the finished white oak. So now we're going to go ahead and cut some plywood and make those panels up. So the cabinets are white oak, and here we have some 3/4 white oak plywood and edge tape that I will use contact cement and glue onto the edges. We'll let that dry for a few seconds and then we'll stick it on. We'll apply pressure to it with the roller. That'll make it stick so you no longer see the veneers in the plywood. Our next step will be to clean that up. So for that we use a file. It'll be ready for the spray booth.
We are getting very bored. Like, there's only so many hours that you can spend per day staring out the window, and plus with the delays, we're not really sure when we're going to get in. You should get out at every stop that you can and see if there's internet, because if there is, you can download more shows if you burn through them all like we have, and that's what we did at the last stop. So I'm really looking forward to tonight. We just finished the season 1 finale and we downloaded season 2. Super excited about that. But in downloading it, we did use the sponsor of this week's episode, Surfshark. As much as we love Surfshark for unlocking content libraries all around the world, this is the true power of Surfshark. By masking your IP address, routing it through thousands of servers all around the world, you're completely protecting your device, your email login, your passwords, all of your sensitive and confidential information, because would-be hackers, they will never be able to access your location and all of that information that you want to keep hidden. Make sure you scan the QR code or click the link in the description box down below. When you use our code, you're going to get 4 extra months included. It works out to be less than the price of a cup of coffee, which is an amazing deal for unlocking content libraries, like I mentioned earlier, but even more so for the peace of mind knowing that wherever your travels take you, you're going to be safe and secured. Can't recommend it enough. Make sure you check it out.
We just got to Sioux Lookout in northern Ontario. It's minus 30 degrees Celsius right now, but with the wind chill, it feels like minus 41.
Just blow.
It is so cold, but we're a few hours behind schedule, so it just feels good to be out of the train and getting...
Stretch our legs.
Yeah, and fresh air, and we're also going to see if there's any snacks in a vending machine inside.
Is it colder than you thought?
Yeah, but it just feels nice to be out.
Yeah, Sioux Lookout is the hub of the north. It's a town of 5,000 people, and it services a lot of northern Ontario and a lot of the Indigenous communities that are even further north. So it's a really, really important part of this area. Fun fact, when I grew up in Goose Bay, I used to work at a store called North Mart, or otherwise known as the Northern, and I just noticed that there's one of them right there. It is a very, very expensive grocery store. You wouldn't believe the prices up north.
Do you want to see if your staff discount still works?
I'm sure they've taken it away since then. Look at the stars. It's
They're
so pretty.
bright.
That was pretty amazing, but very, very cold. Holy, my cheeks are like burning.
Oh, they're still there. I wasn't sure if they were. I didn't know if my nose was gone and stuff. But
Probably
now,
nice and rosy.
hopefully dinner soon after this, because they already did the first round of dinner and we're at the second one, so
Yeah.
getting hungry after being out there shivering for
We're gonna warm up.
We will have a delay at this point. We cannot give you a time of how long that delay will be, as there is quite a bit of congestion ahead of us. I don't want to sugarcoat it, but we don't know exactly how much time this will take.
You realize we're 20 hours delayed? We're gonna get to the Rockies in the middle of the night. We're not even gonna see it.
What a joke.
Fancy a sparkling, me love.